High Admiral Zixtal shifted in his command throne, his iridescent scales catching the soft blue light of the bridge displays. Another routine patrol along the Empire's outer rim. 17,000 years of uncontested dominion had made such duties more ceremony than necessity. He absently traced the golden insignia on his sleeve, marking him as master of the Empire's Third Fleet, when the sensor officer's crystalline appendages suddenly flared bright orange with alarm. "High Admiral, we're detecting anomalous readings in Sector 7. The officer reported, their voice resonating through their translation crystal. Multiple vessels of unknown configuration approaching from the void between spiral arms. Zixtal's secondary hearts quickened, though he maintained his composed demeanor. Another primitive species seeking the Empire's protection, no doubt. They'd guided thousands of such civilizations into the galactic community over the millennia. Standard first contact protocols, he commanded, straightening his ceremonial cape. Prepare the welcome fleet. The sensor officer's crystalline form pulsed with increasing agitation. Sir, these readings, they're unlike anything in our database. The ships appear to be. They paused, running the analysis again, phasing in and out of normal spacetime. Zixtal's primary heart skipped a beat. Impossible. Show me. The main view screen filled with tactical data. The approaching fleet moved with impossible grace, their formation shifting like a school of fish evading a predator. As he watched, 3 of the largest vessels simply vanished, reappearing instantly 50,000 kilometers to port, their energy signatures unchanged. Such a maneuver should have drained their power cores, yet they showed no sign of strain. Full scan, Zixtal ordered, all 4 of his eyes fixed on the display. I want every piece of data our sensors can gather. His science officer, a towering Methix whose crystalline exoskeleton refracted the bridge lights, interfaced directly with the sensor array. High Admiral, they're playing with us. Explain. The vessels are deliberately revealing and concealing their capabilities. When we adjust our sensors to track one signature, they switch to another. It's as if they're demonstrating mastery over every form of propulsion we know, and several we don't. The tactical officer's appendages trembled as new data flowed in. Sir, their hull composition is changing in real time. Every weapon frequency we probe is instantly reflected by a perfectly calibrated defense. They're adapting faster than our targeting computers can analyze. Zixtal felt the weight of 17,000 years of imperial supremacy suddenly pressed down upon his shoulders. These weren't the crude vessels of a species seeking protection. This was something else entirely. They're hailing us, the communications officer announced. Text only, transmitted simultaneously in all 27 major imperial languages. Perfect grammar and cultural honorifics included. The message appeared on Zixtal's private display. Greetings, High Admiral Zixtal of the Imperial Third Fleet. The United Earth Federation extends its warmest regards to the Galactic Empire. We apologize for any concern our approach may have caused. We merely wish to ensure our technological capabilities were properly understood before formal introductions began. Shall we proceed with standard diplomatic protocols? Zixtal read the message 3 times, his scales shifting from their usual confident gold to a troubled azure. The casual demonstration of power, the flawless linguistic skills, the intimate knowledge of imperial protocols. Everything about this encounter violated his understanding of first contact situations. Sir, his science officer interrupted, voice quavering. Long-range scans are detecting similar fleets approaching 17 other imperial border stations, all maintaining perfect formation spacing, all demonstrating the same impossible capabilities. As Zixtal composed his response, he realized this wasn't just another first contact. It was a turning point in imperial history. These humans hadn't come seeking the Empire's protection or guidance. They had come to fundamentally change the galaxy's balance of power, and they were doing it with a precision and grace that made the Empire's finest ships look like crude toys in comparison. Prepare my flagship for diplomatic reception, he ordered, his voice steady despite his racing hearts. and inform Imperial Center that everything we know about space travel has just become obsolete. The Grand Imperial Reception Hall, with its towering crystal spires and floating light sculptures, had hosted thousands of first contact ceremonies over the millennia. None had ever begun like this. Ambassador Sarah Chen's hologram materialized in the center of the hall without using the Imperial projection grid. Her image stood with perfect clarity, displaying a level of detail that made the Empire's best holographic technology look primitive in comparison. She wore a formal Earth diplomatic uniform in deep blue, but each species in the hall saw subtle variations that perfectly aligned with their cultural aesthetics. To the crystalline mythics, her outfit appeared to refract light in familiar patterns of authority. The serpentine Vasics saw scales subtly suggested in her clothing's texture. Even the energy-based photics perceived wavelength patterns that conveyed deep respect in their spectrum of communication. Esteemed representatives of the Galactic Empire, she began, her voice resonating in perfect Imperial high speech. Then she shifted seamlessly through all 27 major Imperial languages, each statement carrying regional idioms and cultural nuances that took Imperial diplomats decades to master. The United Earth Federation comes before you not as supplicants, but as equals seeking friendship. First Speaker Lixus, the Empire's chief xenodiplomat, felt his crystalline form vibrate with unease. In 3,000 years of service, he'd never encountered a species that could so perfectly mirror every culture simultaneously. His assistant was frantically checking databases, confirming that each gesture, each tone modulation, each cultural reference was flawless. Ambassador Chen. Lixus responded, using the Empire's most formal diplomatic protocols. Your mastery of our ways is unprecedented. Sarah smiled, the expression somehow conveying warmth to species that didn't even have mouths. We believe that true respect begins with understanding. Humanity has spent considerable time studying the beautiful tapestry of cultures that make up the Empire. The Imperial xenopsychologists watched in growing amazement as Chen navigated the complex social hierarchies of the court. She greeted each species in order of their ceremonial rank, but somehow managed to make each interaction feel like the most important. When she spoke with the militant cracks, her posture shifted subtly to display strength without challenge. With the philosophical ethereals, her words carried layers of meaning that referenced their most sacred texts. How long? Lixus finally asked, protocol forgotten in his curiosity. How long has humanity been watching us? First Speaker, we prefer to think of it as preparing for this moment, Chen replied. Her hologram gestured, and suddenly the hall was filled with star maps showing trade routes, cultural exchange patterns, and diplomatic relationships spanning the entire empire. We wanted to ensure that when we finally met, we could engage in true dialogue, not just exchange pleasantries. The display shifted, showing human ships that had been perfectly cloaked, stationed near major imperial cultural centers, trading hubs, and diplomatic posts. Ships that no imperial sensor had ever detected. The message was clear. Humanity could have chosen any form of first contact, but they had chosen to prioritize understanding. Impossible, whispered an Imperial security analyst. Our detection systems are absolute. Chen's hologram turned to address him directly. Chief Analyst Vex, your detection systems are impressive, but they rely on principles of physics that humanity transcended several centuries ago. However, we'd be happy to help upgrade them as a gesture of friendship. The casual revelation of their technological superiority, combined with the immediate offer of assistance, sent ripples of murmured conversation through the hall. This was not the approach of conquerors or supplicants, but something entirely new in Imperial experience. A junior diplomat, forgetting protocol in his excitement, blurted out, "But why? Why spend so long learning about us before making contact?" Ambassador Chen's expression became serious, her hologram now projecting an aura that even the non-empathic species could feel. Because, honored representatives, there are matters of grave importance that affect all sentient life in this galaxy. Humanity needed to be certain we could communicate these concerns effectively across all cultural boundaries. She paused, her next words carrying weight that seemed to bend the very light in the hall. We have much to discuss, and very little time to waste on misunderstandings. Fleet Admiral James Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the human corvette, Swift Justice, watching the Imperial testing range spread out before him. A collection of the Empire's finest warships formed a ceremonial ring around the designated demonstration area, their sensors primed to analyze every move. The Imperial Military Council had demanded proof of humanity's capabilities. He intended to give them a show they'd never forget. Fighting stance, Rodriguez commanded, a slight smile playing at the corners of his mouth. The Swift Justice responded instantly, its neural interface translating his intentions into motion. The ship pirouetted on its axis, leaving a spiral of quantum distortions in its wake that formed intricate patterns in spacetime. On the Imperial flagship, Master Physicist Krental's sensor crystals nearly cracked from the energy readings. Impossible. They're not using inertial dampeners. The crew should be paced at those acceleration levels. Rodriguez's voice came through the comm system, clear and calm despite the ship's impossible maneuvers. The Empire's reliance on inertial dampening technology is quaint. We found it more efficient to simply adjust our local relationship with physics. The Swift Justice began what appeared to be a standard evasive pattern, then seamlessly transformed it into a dance of quantum possibilities. The ship split into 3 identical versions of itself, each one perfectly real, each one broadcasting the same power signatures. Imperial targeting systems went into cascade failure trying to determine which was the original. "How are you maintaining quantum coherence at that scale?" demanded another Imperial scientist. "The energy requirements alone should be impossible." Rodriguez completed the thought, perhaps by Imperial understanding. But humanity learned long ago that the universe's laws are more like guidelines, ones that can be respectfully negotiated with. The 3 versions of Swift Justice began weaving complex patterns through space, their movements synchronized in ways that shouldn't have been possible across quantum states. With each pass, they left behind trails of exotic particles that formed into stable geometric patterns, a star map of humanity's territory. High Admiral Zixtal watched from his command throne, his scales shifting through colors of disbelief and awe. "Your ship moves like a living thing, Admiral Rodriguez." "In a way, she is," Rodriguez replied. "We developed our technology along biological principles. Swift Justice isn't just a vessel. She's a partner in exploration." To demonstrate, Rodriguez had his ship perform a series of maneuvers that the Empire had mathematically proven to be impossible. The Swift Justice curved space around itself, using gravity like an artist uses a brush, painting maneuvers that broke half a dozen laws of physics simultaneously. An Imperial weapons officer, his pride stunned by the display, activated a targeting scanner without authorization. Before anyone could reprimand him, Swift Justice had already responded, not by raising shields, but by gently redirecting the scan back to its source, accompanied by a detailed analysis of how the Imperial targeting system could be improved. "We noticed that design flaw in your targeting arrays decades ago," Rodriguez commented casually. "We'd be happy to share the solution. It's rather elegant, if I do say so myself." The demonstration culminated with Swift Justice simultaneously existing in 7 different quantum states, each one performing a different impossible maneuver. Then, with a flourish that left temporal echoes hanging in space like aurora borealis, the ship reintegrated into a single form. "That's impossible," whispered an Imperial engineer. "The power requirements alone." "Actually," Rodriguez interjected, "Swift Justice is currently operating at 12% of maximum capacity. We didn't want to overwhelm your sensor systems." The silence that followed was deafening. The Empire's entire understanding of physics, of what was possible in space travel, had just been upended by what humans considered a restrained demonstration. "One final demonstration," Rodriguez announced. Swift Justice powered down completely, every system going dark. Then, using principles that defied Imperial understanding, the ship began to draw power directly from the quantum fabric of space itself, its systems restarting with energy that seemed to come from nowhere. "We call it quantum harvesting," Rodriguez explained to the stunned silence. "Just one of many technologies we'd be happy to share with our new allies. After all, friends help friends evolve." #Market Revolution. Trademaster Venix stared at the holographic display in his private chamber within the Imperial Commerce Tower, his crystalline form clouded with confusion. In just 3 standard months, human merchants had completely transformed the Empire's trading dynamics. He watched as another cargo fleet executed a just-in-time delivery, materializing with perfect precision at their destination. "Impossible," he muttered, his crystalline surfaces reflecting the data streams. "No one can predict market flows that accurately." "Actually," came a voice from his doorway, "it's quite simple when you understand quantum probability chains." Jessica Wong, Earth's chief trade representative, stood there with a knowing smile. Her dark business suit shifted colors subtly to match the ambient lighting, a piece of human fashion technology that had already spawned 1,000 imitators across the Empire. Venix's form pulsed with agitation. "You've upended 10,000 years of established trade practices in less than a season." "We prefer to think of it as optimization," Jessica replied, projecting the new hologram that showed the Empire's trade routes transformed into an intricate web of interconnected flows. "Your old system was like a series of separate rivers. We've turned it into an ocean." The display showed human trading posts strategically positioned at key network nodes, each one serving as a hub for what they called vertical integration. Traditional imperial trade relied on long chains of intermediaries. The humans had somehow compressed these chains while improving efficiency. "But the merchant houses," Venix began, "are making more profit than ever." Jessica completed his thought. "We're not replacing the existing system, Trademaster. We're enhancing it." She gestured, and a hologram zoomed in on a particular trade route. A human cargo ship phased into normal space, executed its delivery, and phased out, all in under 3 minutes. No customs delays, no docking procedures, no traditional protocols. "That's not possible," Venix protested. "The paperwork alone is handled by quantum-encrypted blockchain contracts," Jessica explained. "Instantaneous, unhackable, and self-executing. We've eliminated 90% of traditional trade barriers while increasing security." A alert chimed, and Venix watched as an Imperial Trade Consortium attempted to pressure a human merchant fleet by denying them port access. The humans simply opened a temporary quantum tunnel, delivered their goods directly to their customers, and closed it before anyone could react. "You see," Jessica continued, "we understood that true galactic trade isn't about ships and goods. It's about relationships and trust. Every human trading post also serves as a cultural exchange center, a diplomatic hub, and a technology-sharing platform." She brought up another display, showing how human innovations were spreading through Imperial society. Their quantum communication networks had made traditional subspace channels obsolete. Their energy efficiency systems had reduced operating costs across the board. Their medical technology was revolutionizing healthcare across species boundaries. "The Crimson Claw Merchant House is trying to cut off your supply lines in the Orion Spur," Venix noted, attempting to regain some sense of control over the conversation. Jessica's smile widened. "Are they?" "Check their inventory systems." Venix accessed the data, and his crystalline form almost shattered in shock. The Crimson Claw's entire operation had been quietly optimized to depend on human supply chain technology. They couldn't cut off human traders without crippling themselves. "We call it collaborative interdependence," Jessica explained. "The more they try to resist working with us, the more they realize they already are." A new alert showed another human innovation taking hold, their open-source technology sharing program. Imperial corporations that adopted human trade practices were being given access to a growing database of technological improvements. Your people are transforming the galaxy without firing a shot, Venix realized. Trademaster, humanity learned long ago that the most powerful conquests aren't achieved through force, Jessica said, her expression growing serious. They're achieved by becoming indispensable. We're not here to replace the Empire's economy. We're here to help it evolve. Because very soon, the galaxy will need every advantage it can get. Before Venix could question her cryptic statement, another wave of trade notifications demanded his attention. The revolution wouldn't wait for those who fell behind, and humanity was setting a pace that the galaxy had never seen before. Captain Drakthor of the Crimson Scourge pirates watched the human colony through his ship's targeting display. New Eden, they called it, just another settlement on the galaxy's rim. His fleet of stolen Imperial warships dropped out of hyperspace in attack formation, weapons primed. The colony's only visible defense was a small station hanging in high orbit. Pathetic, he growled, his scaled hide rippling with anticipation. These humans think they can change the galaxy with their trade treaties and cultural exchanges. Let's show them how the void really works. His tactical officer, a renegade Imperial veteran, frowned at his sensor readings. Captain, that station. Something's odd about its energy signature. Who cares? Open fire. 20 capital ships launched their opening salvos, enough firepower to crack a small moon. The energy beams converged on the station and simply vanished. No shields flared. No explosions bloomed. The attacks just ceased to exist. Interesting approach. A calm voice transmitted on all frequencies. Would you like to see what those weapons can really do? The station hummed to life, its surface rippling like liquid metal. Suddenly, every weapon that had fired on it appeared to sprout from its hull, perfectly replicated but somehow improved. Impossible, the tactical officer whispered. They've quantum copied our entire weapons array. Not quite, the station's eye responded. We've optimized them. Your designs were quite inefficient. Allow us to demonstrate the improvements. A single pulse of energy lanced out from the station, splitting into 20 perfect beams. Each beam struck one of the pirate ships with surgical precision, bypassing shields that should have been impenetrable. But instead of destroying the vessels, the energy began transforming them. Drakthor watched in horror as his flagship's weapons systems reconfigured themselves. Crystals realigned, energy matrices shifted, and quantum fields rewrote themselves. Within seconds, his entire arsenal had been converted into defensive systems. What is this sorcery? He roared. Basic quantum manipulation. The AI replied. Your weapons were designed to destroy. We simply helped them achieve their full potential as tools of protection. The station pulsed again, and every engine in the pirate fleet synchronized to a new frequency. Drakthor's crew scrambled at their controls, but nothing responded to their commands. Your stolen Imperial drives had several critical flaws. The AI continued, almost conversationally. We've taken the liberty of upgrading them. They now only function in service of defensive operations. A vast improvement, wouldn't you agree? A hologram materialized on Drakthor's bridge. A simple human woman in a colonial defense uniform. I'm Colonel Sarah Martinez, New Eden Defense Force. Your ships now have two options. They can power down for Imperial authorities, or their new defensive protocols will activate. Either way, your days of piracy are over. You can't do this, Drakthor sputtered. The energy requirements alone are trivial when you understand how to harvest quantum potential, Martinez interrupted. The same technology that powers our trade ships works just as well for defense. We simply choose to use it peacefully when possible. The tactical officer stared at his readouts in disbelief. They're not just changing our weapons, they're rewriting the quantum states of our entire fleet. The upgrades are spreading through every system. Think of it as a gift, Martinez said with a smile. Your ships are now incapable of harming innocent life. They'll serve a much nobler purpose protecting merchants and colonies. The quantum changes are permanent, by the way. Even your best engineers won't be able to reverse them. Drakthor slumped in his command chair as his mighty pirate fleet transformed into a defensive force. The few ships whose crews tried to resist found their own systems automatically preventing any aggressive action. Remember this lesson, Martinez concluded. Humanity doesn't need weapons to defend itself. We can turn any attack into an opportunity for improvement. Now, I believe the Imperial authorities would like to have a word with you about all those stolen warships. As Imperial cruisers emerged from hyperspace to arrest the pirates, the defense station resumed its quiet vigil. The incident would spread throughout the underworld of the galaxy, a warning that humanity's apparent peaceful nature wasn't born of weakness, but of choice. Imperial Spymaster Nexix moved through the quantum-encrypted data streams like a ghost, his consciousness interfaced directly with the Empire's most advanced cyber warfare systems. After months of attempts, his team had finally cracked what they thought was a vulnerable node in humanity's communications network. As the encrypted data began flowing, his initial triumph turned to confusion. "This can't be right," he whispered to the empty command center. The data showed thousands of long-range sensor arrays, stretching far beyond the galaxy's outer rim. But these weren't invasion plans or military deployments. They were early warning systems, detection grids, and defensive preparations on a scale he'd never imagined. "Finding what you're looking for, Spymaster." The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. The human quantum network hadn't been breached. It had allowed him in. A hologram materialized. "Director Chen Wei of Earth's Strategic Defense Initiative. We were wondering when your team would make it this far. Your quantum decryption skills are impressive, though they could use some refinement." Nexix's crystalline form pulsed with embarrassment and concern. "You knew we were attempting to access your networks." "Of course. We've been guiding you to this particular data node for the past month." Chen's hologram gestured, and the command center filled with three-dimensional star maps. "You needed to see this, but we had to ensure you were ready to understand its implications." The display zoomed out, showing the Milky Way galaxy in its entirety. Then it kept going, revealing something massive approaching from intergalactic space. The object defied normal space-time parameters, its very presence distorting the fabric of reality around it. "By the First Emperor," Nexix breathed. "What is that?" "We call them the Void Hunters," Chen replied, his expression grave. "We detected them 300 years ago, when we first developed our quantum sensing technology. They've consumed 17 galaxies that we know of. Their arrival here is inevitable." The display showed simulation after simulation. Conventional weapons proved useless against the entity. Even the Empire's most powerful weapons would be like throwing pebbles at a tsunami. "This is why," Nexix realized. "All of your technological advances, your cultural integration, your economic reforms, you're preparing the galaxy." Chen nodded. "Every technology we've shared has a dual purpose. The quantum tunnels we use for trade. They can be converted into defensive barriers. Our economic networks. They're designed to be rapidly reorganized into resource distribution systems for a galaxy at war. Even our cultural exchange programs are carefully crafted to prepare different species to work together in a crisis." The hologram shifted to show humanity's defensive preparations. Massive structures hidden in quantum space, fleets of ships unlike anything they'd revealed to the Empire, and technology that made their public achievements look primitive in comparison. "Why not just tell us?" Nexix demanded. "Why all the subterfuge? Would you have believed us?" Chen asked quietly. "More importantly, would you have accepted our help? We needed the Empire to see us as equals first, to understand that we're not a threat but potential saviors. Every demonstration, every diplomatic gesture, every trade agreement has been building trust for this moment." Nexix watched as the simulation showed humanity's true capabilities, not just the carefully measured displays they'd shown the Empire, but their full potential. They hadn't shared a fraction of their actual technology. "Your Empire has stood for 17,000 years, Chen continued. "You've maintained peace and stability across millions of worlds. That's exactly what we need. We bring the technology and innovation. You bring the infrastructure and experience. Together, we might have a chance. A new alert flashed across the display. The Void Hunters had accelerated. Their arrival time had shortened considerably. How long? Nexix asked, his voice barely a whisper. 5 years, maybe less. Every trade route we've optimized, every weapon we've upgraded, every diplomatic bond we've forged, it's all in preparation for this moment. The galaxy needs to be united and ready when they arrive. The Emperor must be told. That's why we let you find this information, Spymaster. The time for secrecy is over. Now we need allies, not subjects. Will you help us save everything you've built? Emperor Xandor stood before the Great Council, his crystalline form radiating the deep purple hue of contemplation. For 300 years, he had ruled the greatest civilization in known space. Now, in the span of months, everything had changed. The council chamber's quantum displays showed the approaching threat. The Void Hunters, their massive form distorting space-time itself. Beside this image, another display showed humanity's true defensive capabilities, far beyond what they'd previously revealed. 3 centuries I have served as Emperor. Xandor's voice resonated through the chamber. In all that time, I have never faced a decision like this. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood calmly at the center of the chamber, her hologram now showing the subtle quantum fluctuations that humans typically kept hidden. Your empire has been the guardian of galactic civilization for 17,000 years, Emperor Xandor. We're not asking you to surrender that role. We're asking you to share it. The Emperor's form shifted through colors of doubt and consideration. You could have conquered us. Your technology, your capabilities. We wouldn't have stood a chance. Conquest was never our goal, Chen replied. The Void Hunters cannot be defeated by a single civilization, no matter how advanced. Victory requires unity, cooperation, and trust. Qualities your empire has cultivated for millennia. High Admiral Zixtal stepped forward, his scales now bearing the marks of recent combat simulations against the approaching threat. My fleet tested humanity's defensive systems. Even their minimal demonstrations proved them vastly superior. Yet they never once used that power to threaten or coerce. The chamber's displays shifted, showing the integration of human and imperial technology. Where imperial ships had once been powerful but rigid, they now flowed like liquid metal. Human quantum drives merged with imperial power cores, creating hybrid systems more powerful than either civilization could achieve alone. Look at what we've already accomplished together. Chen gestured to the data streams. Your trade networks enhanced by our quantum tunnels. Your defensive systems upgraded with our reality-shaping technology. Your cultural institutions enriched by our knowledge-sharing protocols. A new hologram materialized, a live feed from a joint human-imperial shipyard. Vessels of both civilizations were undergoing transformations, their technologies merging in ways that defied conventional physics. The Void Hunters approach. Xandor stated, his voice heavy with the weight of decision. And you believe we can only survive together. We don't just believe we can survive, Emperor. Chen's expression showed fierce determination. We believe we can triumph, but only if we stand as equals. The Emperor rose to his full height, his crystalline form blazing with the traditional colors of imperial decree. For 17,000 years, the Empire has stood as the supreme power in this galaxy. We have guided countless civilizations, protected countless species, maintained order across millions of worlds. He paused, his form shifting to a new color combination, never before seen in the council chamber, a blend of imperial authority and human quantum signatures. And now, for the first time in our history, we shall share that burden. Not as conquerors and conquered, but as true allies. The chamber erupted in lights as both human and imperial systems synchronized. Outside, in orbit around the imperial capital, human ships began merging with their imperial counterparts. The results were breathtaking. Vessels that existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously, weapons that could reshape reality itself, defensive systems that made former concepts of warfare obsolete. The human Imperial Alliance is born, Chen declared, her hologram now showing the full spectrum of human quantum technology. Together, we will face what comes. Together, the Emperor agreed, we shall protect not just our civilizations, but all sentient life in this galaxy. As if in response to their words, long-range sensors detected new movement from the Void Hunters. They had changed course, moving directly toward the galaxy. They knew they had been detected, and they were coming. The Emperor's form pulsed with the colors of battle preparation. How long do we have? Long enough to prepare, Chen replied, if we start now. Then let us show these Void Hunters what humanity and the Empire can accomplish together. The Joint Command Center of the Human Imperial Alliance hummed with activity, its quantum crystalline architecture reflecting the merged aesthetics of both civilizations. Admiral Sarah Martinez, formerly of the New Eden Defense Force, stood alongside High Admiral Zixtal, watching as their combined fleet took shape at the edge of known space. Beautiful, isn't it? Martinez gestured to the massive holographic display showing their forces. Imperial dreadnoughts, their hulls now rippling with human quantum technology, flew in formation with human vessels that phased between dimensions. Between them, new hybrid ships displayed capabilities that would have seemed impossible mere months ago. Indeed, Zixtal's scales shifted through patterns of pride and anticipation. Though I never imagined I'd see Imperial ships dancing through quantum states like yours do. And I never thought I'd see human vessels incorporating your crystalline matrix technology. Martinez smiled. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. The display shifted to show their defensive preparations. What had once been separate training facilities were now joint academies, where Imperial battle doctrine merged with human adaptive strategies. Research stations paired Imperial scientists with human quantum physicists, breaking through barriers that had stymied both civilizations for centuries. A young Imperial officer rushed into the command center, his crystalline form pulsing with urgency. Admirals, the deep space arrays, they've detected something. The main display shifted, showing the void between galaxies. There, exactly where humanity's early warning systems had predicted, the first confirmed signals of the Void Hunters appeared. Right on schedule, Martinez noted grimly. They're not even trying to hide anymore. Why should they? Zixtal responded. They've consumed 17 galaxies. They've never faced real resistance. Then let's show them something new. Martinez activated the command network, her consciousness merging with the quantum-enhanced Imperial BattleNet. Across the galaxy, human and Imperial forces synchronized their preparations. The display showed their combined achievements. Trading posts had been converted into fortress worlds. The quantum tunnels that once carried cargo now formed a defensive grid capable of redirecting entire fleets instantly. Imperial planets bristled with human temporal shields, while human colonies were protected by improved versions of Imperial crystal technology. First wave defense grid is online, reported a human technician, her hands dancing through holographic controls. Quantum prediction matrices are calculating possible attack vectors. Imperial long-range weapons platforms have been upgraded with human reality-shaping protocols. Added an Imperial officer. All systems show green. Martinez and Zixtal watched as the first joint fleet prepared to launch. At its heart was the flagship, Unity, a vessel that represented the peak of their combined technology. It could exist in multiple quantum states while maintaining Imperial crystal matrix stability, its weapons capable of reshaping space-time itself. Your people were preparing for this moment for centuries, Zixtal noted. Yet you chose to share everything with us rather than face it alone. Humanity learned long ago that true strength lies in unity, Martinez replied. Besides, your empire's experience in coordinating millions of worlds is just as valuable as our quantum technology. We each brought what the other needed. The Void Hunters' signal grew stronger. Their vast form began to take shape in the long-range scans, a sight that would have inspired terror mere months ago. Now it was met with determined preparation. Launch the fleet, Martinez and Zixtal commanded in unison. Across the galaxy, ships of both civilizations moved in perfect coordination. The Unity led the way, its hybrid systems humming with power that defied conventional physics. As the fleet moved into position, Martinez turned to her Imperial counterpart, ready to make history. Zixtal's scales shifted to the new pattern that had come to represent their alliance, a swirling mixture of Imperial authority and human innovation. The Void Hunters expect to find another easy conquest. Instead, they'll find humanity and the Empire standing as one. And we'll show them, Martinez smiled, watching their fleet leap into quantum space, that this galaxy has teeth. The Unity vanished into the void, leading humanity and the Empire toward their greatest challenge. Behind them, a galaxy united and transformed awaited their return. The Void Hunters had devoured 17 galaxies, but they had never encountered anything like the human Imperial alliance. They were about to learn that some galaxies bite back.